Hey top percenters, Riser Joey here, covering a deck that takes me back. Back in episode 49 when I covered Plasma Blast, I made mention of Dialga X and Porygon Z together, and how the combination reminded me of the Durant from last year. Well, I thought it would be fitting that I cover the new mill deck, seeing as if it wasn't for Durant, I probably would have never broken out onto YouTube like this. Durant from Noble Victories was the card that got me noticed over on 6 Prizes, and led to one of my proudest moments as a Pokemon card reviewer. You see, I never applied to be a front page contributor on 6 Prizes, but after posting my Durant review of this on the 6 Prizes forum, I was approached and asked to contribute. Now, I don't know if a forum member actually approached the admins with my work, or if the admins found my work and liked it. Either way, I was honoured, and I uploaded a handful of articles before effectively graduating to YouTube. But enough of Joey's life story. Let's talk about Dialga X and Porygon Z. First, let's start by looking at what makes the deck tick. Firstly, we have Dialga X, a basic dragon with 180 hit points, a retreat cost of 2, a weakness to dragon, and 2 attacks. The first being Reverse Edge, which for a Psychic, a Metal, and a Colorless deals 50 damage, and on a coin toss can add a card from your discard pile to your hand. His second attack is our major focus though. For 4 Colorless energy, Dialga can use Fast Forward to deal 90 damage, and discard the top card of your opponent's deck for each Plasma energy attached to Dialga. Now, 4 Colorless is a hefty cost on any Pokemon, and 4 for 90 is a terrible energy to damage ratio, but the real focus of this deck is the mill. So the real difficulty in our goal isn't delivering damage, but supplying all 4 of our Plasma energy to Dialga. Now, we do have some help with Chorus Machine allowing us to attach Plasma energy from the deck, and with that and our manual attachment we could very possibly see ourselves attaching 2 or 3 energy to Dialga in our opening turn. But we're going to be taking damage as the turns go on, and X's only tend to survive a turn or 2, and we need to keep milling our opponent for 4 cards for around 9 turns to get them out. For anyone wondering where I got 9 turns from, take a standard 60 card deck. Now, minus 13 cards for setup, that leaves us with 47 cards. That's already quite a bit more than 36, which is 9 turns milling 4 cards. But we aren't removing 4 cards from a deck a turn. Your opponent has to draw. The numbers change from milling 4 cards from their deck to removing 5 cards, which works out at 45 cards removed over 9 turns, but we haven't factored in our opponent thinning their deck by searching for Pokemon and energy, or using cards like N and Juniper. But back to the issue at hand, how do we make Dialga survive 9 turns? The answer? Porygon Z, a normal stage 2 Plasma Pokemon with 130 hit points, a retreat cost of 1, weakness to fighting, 1 attack, Dry Attack, which for 3 Colorless asks you to flip 3 coins and for each heads deliver 50 damage. Porygon Z also has the ability Plasma Transfer, which I incorrectly labelled as Plasma Trans in the set review, but after having Leaf Trans and Dark Trance, I think I can be forgiven for that. Plasma Transfer allows you to freely move Plasma energy between your Pokemon. Now, this already might sound familiar. This is exactly what Hydreigon did in Darkrai Hydreigon. And yes, that's the exact strategy I'm talking about. When Dialga's carrying some damage, transfer the energy away from him, use Max Potion to remove any and all damage, then move the energy back to Dialga X and continue milling. Plasma Transfer can also help keep your strategy going even without Max Potion. There's nothing preventing you from moving the energy from one Dialga to another, then retreating to the new Dialga. Now, we've talked about survivability and how Porygon Z can help maintain your game state, and we've mentioned how long you have to maintain the mill to win. But let's talk about consistency. Now, it's obvious that we want to get Plasma energy onto Dialga as fast as possible, but what's more important? Getting 4 Plasma energy onto Dialga, or getting 4 energy in general, and working towards the 4 Plasma. I mentioned before that we could easily attach 2 or 3 energy in one turn. Now, 3 Plasma energy is 1 too few, but 2 Plasma energy and a double Colorless is enough to attack. And sure, we only mill 2 cards this way, but every card we mill is a step closer to decking your opponent out. Plus, we still deliver the same 90 damage, and this deck's big difference from Durant is it actually delivers damage. So you can still play for 6 prizes while milling your opponent, you just have to worry about them claiming 6 prizes. They have to worry about you claiming prizes and milling their deck. So yeah, I'd include 4 double Colorless in this, just to increase the chance of opening with a turn 1 fast forward. But let's talk about something else we can do to increase the deck's consistency. A little something I like to call Tornadus X from Plasma Freeze. In my opinion, this guy is pretty underrated. In fact, he's seen as a pretty bad card. But we've had much more fragile Pokemon serve his purpose in the past. I'm of course talking about his ability to refresh your hand with Windfall. In this deck you're going to be spending a lot of cards from hand pretty fast. There's College Machines, Plasma Balls, Rare Candy, Computer Surge, Ultra Ball and or Level Ball. You can whittle down your hand pretty easily. Being able to end your turn with 6 cards in hand is huge. Even if your opponent ends you, you don't lose advantage in your early game, as you send 6 in and get 6 out. And if your opponent doesn't end you, then you've ended your turn with options in hand, instead of going forward with next to nothing to work with. The fact that Tornadus is also College Machine compatible just adds to how much consistency you can gain from running this hand refreshing beast. But that's not the only advantage to be had by running Tornadus. There's his retreat cost. Now how is a retreat cost of 2 good? You can't use Sky for free retreat, you'd have to discard an energy to get it out of the active position. But you don't have to spend energy. I mentioned earlier that Dialga has a retreat cost of 2, and later mentioned retreating him. Both Tornadus and Dialga have the same problem, and they have the same answer in both cases: Floatstone. Now running Floatstone for just one Pokemon may have made it seem cumbersome, but running it for 2 different Pokemon, now it feels like it has a real purpose in the list. And it can even be used on Porygon Z if it ever gets dragged into the active position. Now I'll be honest, I don't think this deck is at all competitive, but then again I had the same thought about Durant and look what happened there. I know this deck has major weaknesses, especially in the Keldeo Blastoise matchup, where they can drop Black Kyurem in one turn and knock out Dialga, taking with him all of his plasma energy. But I believe this deck could be fun in casual play, or something to take to a tournament if you feel like going and having a laugh. But what do you guys think about the deck, and about the capability to mill in general? Let me know down below. And if any of you guys decide to try this out and have any luck with it, let me know. I'd love to hear some success stories. But until next time, I'm Writer Joey. You guys are still the top percent. Laters.